Hello, I'm Mark.
I'm Casey.
I'm Patrick.
And I'm Ken.
And you may notice that we've got an extra person, but we'll explain that after Casey rolls the title card.
Angry Transformer noises. Burr, burr.
You're watching the Tesla Life Express.
Hey,
Now they'll
everyone.
make sense.
Thanks so much for joining us today. We've got a special guest. We have Mr. Kenneth Bokor from, of course, the EV Revolution show joining us today. And our topic today is about the Cybertruck. So we put a link to the article that which spurred some of this conversation. And you can, of course, read through that anytime you like. But we wanted to talk about our opinions about the Cybertruck and where it's going, where it's been, and what is currently happening. And I think we can all agree that the Cybertruck sales have been lackluster lately. Certainly out of the gate, they had a number of people that wanted to be first, and that quickly dried up after half a year, three-quarters of a year. And then numbers started to slide somewhat for sales. And we were talking about this on the show just a few weeks ago about how the numbers have been sliding and what we thought the issue was. Casey, you talked a little bit about the truck that they discontinued after stripping a number of options out of the vehicle and trying to lower that price by what? It was just like $10,000 drop.
It was a $10,000 drop, and it felt like they pulled $25,000 to $40,000 out of the truck. So
yeah. So it was a tough sale for there, and of course they've discontinued that vehicle since that point. So it obviously was not a seller that they expected or wanted it to be. But we thought we would get Ken. And Ken, what do you think? I know you've had a history with seeing the Cybertruck, and tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the subject.
Sure. Well, again, thanks for having me on. And first, I just want to tell folks that who watch my show, that I do more than Tesla. I look at reviewing lots of different vehicles, but I am a Tesla owner. I'm on my second one now, a 2025 Model Y that we got in December. So very happy
nice.
with that as we moved away from the Model 3 into a newer vehicle. Absolutely love it. And our second car is a Kia Niro. So we're all EV in the family as well, as I know many others are. So yeah, the Tesla Cybertruck is something unique, as we know when it first came out a few years ago. I did a couple of episodes and got probably the most negative comments that I've ever got in any episodes that I've done. So I know that Mark, when you and I chatted before, I said, that was an interesting time because basically what I was trying to refer to in the reveal, in my thoughts, was not so much about the looks of the truck and the capabilities, anything like that, because we know what Tesla builds is they're always very capable vehicles, right? They're the gold star for battery management, their powertrains, their motors, everything is a very, very good in what they build. Certainly, panel gaps and these kind of quality issues can get better over time, but the nuts and bolts of it is a really good foundational product. My concerns was on the bigger market picture. So when I observed that, I thought, here's a unibody product, and we know unibody is cheaper to build. We know the cost efficiencies. You guys just mentioned about some price changes where more margin is going into the truck now than probably before. And we know that Tesla's a business and they have to make money, so we get that. But I just thought that the big pickup truck market, especially here in North America, is really based on the value proposition that a frame on body design gives you. And that Tesla going to unibody takes away from some of the areas that they could be positioning this truck into from a use case, because we know that the body on frame design leads to all kinds of different use cases and configurations that you can build, an almost unlimited number based on what you want. Whereas the Cybertruck is fairly static in its offering. Yes, you can add stuff, you can bolt on things to it, but it's not the same breadth of offerings that you can get from traditional. So I was kind of focused on the market share, and that if Tesla was really going after, the heart of America and the working class kind of use case, they would have come with something that would have been more supportive to the offerings in that marketplace. So that was my first observation, taking the looks and all that stuff aside, because looks are very subjective. I think it's a cool looking truck, but it's something that I wouldn't get at, personally. Just we all have different tastes, and again, I know it's a capable vehicle. Since then, as you said at the top, Mark, the projections, I think it was 2 million plus reservations, have only turned into. I don't even think they've sold 100,000 units since they've gone GA with that product. Part of it is the pricing, right? People thought it was going to be brought to market at a much lower price point than it actually is. So
And
there's
they did
that.
nothing to bring us up as they knew it was coming up. They just let us think that it was going to be the regular price, and then bam.
Right. And, to that point, Casey, I mean, maybe Tesla honestly tried to get something from an economies down in that price point, but it hasn't materialized. And even take away the tariffs and the current economic climate and the inflation that we've experienced over the last year or two, still, it was very much unaffordable or not at that advertised price point at the beginning. The capabilities are certainly there. There's no doubt about that. But, being price points pretty heavy. So, you had a lot of people put $100, and $100 isn't much of a reservation. It's not really big, kind of, really a large value that somebody's putting in. It's easy to
And it was
either
fully
lose it,
refundable too.
Yeah.
So
fully
like
refundable.
there's no risk
Yeah,
here at all.
yeah, exactly. The risk is very minimal. So I always took those numbers a little bit in stride. My hope was, hey, I hope they sell 2 million because I'd love to see more plug-in vehicles, especially all electrics on the road. But my consumer sense, spidey sense from a consumer world, and looking at the commercial side of it as well, where a lot of these pickups play is in that that SMB and mid-market commercial space as well. It just didn't seem that it was going to take off. And when you fast forward to today, when we look at the competition, especially in North America in the full size pickup truck market, F-150's been around for a while. It's done okay. The EV version is not the leader. We get that. But GM has really kicked it up with the Silverado and now the Sierra and the Denali offerings. They are great trucks. I've had an opportunity to review a couple of them, and when you look at starting prices of under 70,000 for a full size truck that gives you over 650 kilometers of range, that's a really compelling offering, especially for those instances of those SMB and mid-size type of working or fleet applications where people will tow or have some sort of payload in their jobs. Let's say a landscaping company that might pull a 4,000, 5,000 pound utility trailer, and the F-150 just doesn't cut it from an overall range, right? So now you've got Chevy's and GMC's offerings that make more of a compelling argument, especially in the winters. So there's these kinds of things that you have to compare the Cybertruck to, and I think it just falls short when you compare it to what else is out there. So that's my kind of initial recap and where I am today, and I can add some more stuff as well.
Okay, Patrick, what's your overall thought process here?
Well, I'm glad that there are other EVs out there, the Ford F-150 Lightning, the Silverado, the Rivian. Competition is great. That raises everybody's game. That gives more choices to the consumer. You can find the one that fits your needs. And I don't know that any of them are selling really well. They're all, I think, in the same maybe 15,000 a quarter at most. None of them are 100,000 a quarter or so I think it's still a nascent market. They're still finding their footing. They especially with, so my first electric vehicle was a truck. It was the Chevy S10 EV, so made by GM as all electric. It was a fun little truck. I loved having the bed. Great for heading to Home Depot and getting whatever I needed for my weekend projects. It didn't have a lot of range, but the utility of a truck is great. So, but it was short range, so I'm not going to be towing. And if I'm hauling anything in the bed, it's a short trip just to, get some gravel or dirt or sod or whatever. And then, 5 miles round trip probably. So it didn't matter. But if you're trying to pull a camper or a boat, the battery tech is not quite there yet to do it on a significant, multi-state kind of road trip. So I think it's just going to take some time it will get there. And if you have a use case where, where I go camping, it's, whatever, 40 miles round trip and I can haul my stuff and then that's great. So everybody has different use cases and they'll all find the niche that works for them. I was trying to look up how the comparable sales are. And it looks like the one that's closest is the Ford F-150 Lightning. But with it'll be interesting to see how things change here in the U.S. now that the tax credit is gone. Will Ford continue to make as many vehicles? And often it's that side that's production that's slowing down sales from some of the non-Tesla OEMs. That is the problem.
That does bring up a good point, though. With the everybody bought Tesla except for that one that nobody wanted, qualifying for the tax credit, that could change the calculus for a lot of people because you get a lot more standard on Cybertruck than you do with some of the competition. If you can get past the looks and if you aren't, chained to a brand. I've been a Chevy guy my whole life. I only buy Ford stuff. That's another problem that Tesla and Rivian are having in this market is that it's been pretty well solidified for a long time. So you have to really kind of meet people where they're not already have their brand
You got to stand
guard
out.
up. Yeah, to stand out. And so that's another reason why it's a good thing that it looks polarizing, but also that you're going to find them in malls and on cruises and not at a sprawling asphalt center at the edge of town. And this will be interesting to watch. But like for the towing thing on long distance multi-state, it can be done, and it's better if it's free for life. But I don't know that a lot of people will have the patience for doing it. So I do think that if they stop pushing back the Ram Charger, it will stand a chance for those folks that do the multi-state tows. But if you step back and look at what you actually use your vehicle for, how often do you do those? Is that something that you could get another vehicle for? Like, say you do need a pickup truck more than once a month. Okay, great. There's your EV pickup truck right there. Oh, it's got power offloading. Okay, even better. But I got a tow. Well, how about you? How much will it cost to get your tow vehicle, your towed vehicle sent ahead of time, or to rent something else to tow it with when the time comes? Or if you're like me, just like an Uber nerd, and you've got the patience, and the family will put up with you, you can do a multi-state tow.
Right.
Yeah. I think that I think the Cybertruck's looks they cut both ways. We had some people that were really enticed by something unique, and we had many people that said, "Hey, that's a garbage can. I don't want a garbage can." So I think there was. I think Tesla decided that they were going to go with the unique look because they're Tesla. They feel they can do it, and in some cases they win these battles, and in other cases they don't win as much as they thought they would. But what I think was the Cybertruck's problem is what Casey alluded to at the beginning, is that they came out with a beginning price that we thought we were getting it for $39 US, and that was nowhere near the reality. I think I know why they didn't announce that pre-launch is because they didn't want to make a bad media story. They didn't want to do that, so they just didn't. But that even put a sour taste in many people's mouths. And I think if the Cybertruck had launched at their base model at $39,000, which they can't even adjusted for inflation, let's say that it came out at 51 or something like that, as their base model. I think it would have been far more successful than what it has been to this point. I think price has held this vehicle back immensely.
Yeah.
And kind of interesting talking in previous shows about how Franz and Tesla has talked about maybe a cyber SUV might be coming. Maybe it isn't, maybe it is. But they're going to need volume in order to sell that truck. So if they could take the SUV and the pickup and they could share parts, okay, that helps with volume. They could reduce price based on volume. I just don't know if they can get it down low enough and still make a profit. Like, I know that Tesla is probably wringing their hands trying to figure out how they can take some of the money out of the vehicle, still get a bit of a profit that's acceptable, and get the volume up, because if they can get the volume up, it's going to help them sell more vehicles. So I think they're at this paradox where they can't reduce enough out of it and still be profitable. And I think the stripped down version that they tried to sell and put up great fanfare for 10 grand less was a failure. And I think that they're really going to have to go back to roots or try to figure out, okay, how do we redesign this so that the cost is not where it sits today? Do we have to do the underbody complete rework? Is there something that we have to do? Is the box method that we're going to unveil, is that going to save us a lot of money? I can't see that it would save, $10,000, $20,000. Maybe it will, but I think that is the problem with the Cybertruck that's giving some of the people in the sidelines the blues, that they just don't want it because the cost is just not there.
Yeah, they even at the high end though, they promised they would come in at, what was it, 79 for the Cyber Beast, and it came out at what, $120. That's substantial.
Yeah.
And that wasn't just the foundation series either. It was people said, okay, yeah, this foundation, they're going to get all the money all they can, and then it'll be done. And then the foundation just kept going and going and going, and oh, okay, finally we can order it without the foundation. Oh, what do you mean 100,000? You said 79, and not only that, but it's even those, just like the base long range edition, were stripped compared to what they told us to expect. There was no onboard air pump. Thankfully, it didn't have this Model S door handles, but chunky. It was a lot smaller than they had promised. It was, I mean, some people like it because it fits in the garage now, but that was quite a trade-off.
Range was lower.
Range
and that
was way
was supposed
lower.
to be solved by the range extender, which then got canceled.
Gone, yeah.
None of these things helped.
Yeah. The only one that saw any sort of range, I wouldn't say boost, but like that was close enough to what they promised, was the dual motor. But even that wasn't really enough to do the trick. But Mark, you're onto something with if they do the Cyber SUV and they do it right, they could get their economies of scale back. And then if they don't tell us how much it costs before it hits the market, and they do good market research.
But again, like in order to get that volume up, you got to sell those vehicles. So we all agree here, most likely, that an SUV is going to cost more than the pickup version. Yeah. It's going to be more. It's going to be a little bit more, at least. But how do they rope them all together to sell, even if the SUV is a little bit more expensive?
They're going to have to go.
They're walking a razor's edge here. I really think that they're trying to figure it out, and I'm not sure if they know where they're going with it.
They're going to have to go up in the attic at Fremont and find that page from the Toyota instruction manual that says, when you come out with a new product, you better be ready to lose money on it for 10 years. The Prius was a loss leader for 3 generations, and then it finally kicked in.
Caught on. Yeah.
Right. And battery technology keeps getting better every year. Panasonic just made some announcement about how they might be able to improve their energy density by 25%. That would be that. Yeah, that's not the normal 5 to 7% we see every year. So if that actually comes to fruition, that will really help in all the stuff that we just talked about. As batteries become more of a commodity, that's the one of the biggest cost drivers for a long range EV. So that just helps make it a much more affordable product.
And is it Cat L with the 25C charging? That'll help too. If you got a 2-minute charge.
Yeah, all those things just make a better vehicle.
And the price could save them, or do you think it's not the major issue?
Well, I think you go ahead, sir.
it didn't help that in the middle that this thing became a poster child for something that it should not have been attached to. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you guys make all great points, right? There's a lot of stuff, moving parts here, but certainly when you look at the price point, I mean, again, it starts at 139 Canadian. That's
Mhm.
a lot of money. And there's lots of other options out there. Rivian was always designed for the adventure, for the non-basically commercial space. They do have some in there, but their goal was their product is for people that want to go camping, want to do outdoor stuff, and want to use a truck as well. So their model was different in their positioning. But Elon wanted to go right after the heart of America. I use that phrase because that's kind of synonymous to the pickup use case. And their offering was just maybe too polarizing for that type of audience and that type of market. And then, as you guys have said, some of the features and then the price point has just ballooned to the point where it really is unaffordable for that kind of market space. So, as far as the Cybertruck goes, I don't know what they can do to increase the sales. I mean, yeah, getting some more energy density, upping the range will help, but it's already at such a premium price point. And, again, I'm fortunate that I've been able to spend time with other vehicles and really, really see how they work. I mean, I had a Silverado. I was easily pushing well over 700 kilometers of range on that without struggling. So you guys talked about towing. I believe that probably the vast majority of pickup truck owners, full size, don't consistently tow. That's my
Yeah.
thought. I think they do other things with it. So
Yeah,
again, it's like, taking I'm going to see grandma once a year, so an EV doesn't work. Well, we know the response to that story. So I think to your point, you can tow, but that's not really the deciding factor. If you're using it for that commercial element that I mentioned earlier, then going from an Ford 150, which is 490 on a good day, but in the winter it's 220 towing
yeah,
something or 200 kilometers, going to something that's rated at 750 or 780 and going to 400 kilometers, let's say, that's a different, right? 400 kilometers a day is a lot of running around in the GTA in Greater
yeah.
Toronto, as an example. So it makes a different use case. And I will also add a personal observation. So as you guys know, Tesla doesn't do press fleets, so it's hard to
Right.
get cars to review. I'm fortunate, like you guys. I think, Mark, you have a great relationship with the KW store. I have a great relationship with the Brampton store. It's 5 minutes away. So I'm able to go in there and get overnights from them if I want. And they
Nice.
offered me the top line Cyber Beast a few months ago as an overnight. So I picked it up and drove it around. I took it to some family that has younger kids. And I had to tell the kids, please be careful climbing all over this thing because it's sharp.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that can nick you. And when you start really looking at it closely, and again, stuff's gonna be very subjective, but I didn't like that aspect. I didn't To me, the boosted steering really takes some getting used to because it's
Hmm.
so sensitive. And the windshield, and we drove it at night. The windshield is so big. They gave it to me dirty, and I had a hard time trying to clean the inside of the front windshield. I couldn't get it all. And then the interior is not that premium. And then I thought, this is the top spec at 160,000. I mean, I should be getting a lot more for this. Yes, the battery
Yeah.
and the motors and the payload and the performance capabilities are there, and maybe it can climb Moab or something, but that's not what I would need it for. So
Yeah.
I lost the value prop in that. So I was really kind of disappointed after I spent a day or so with it, that that I really thought it was kind of clunky and just not the premium that it should be. But that's my personal observation.
So
I'm just
so
glad that
Tesla.
you clarified that GTA was Greater Toronto area,
Right.
because for a moment I thought you were running around stealing cars. Just kidding.
Well,
I was
that's our
gonna
sideline, right, Mark? But we won't say anything about that. We
Yeah.
got the Canadian
We'll keep that
pipeline
on the
running.
down low, Ken. Yeah.
Yeah. You know that underground highway that Ford's going to build on the 401? That's going to be anyway.
Tesla had asked me my opinion on it after I had a chance to drive it, and I called it a fat Model Y as far as the interior experience was concerned, because coming from Model X, it didn't feel premium, and it was priced and placed in other models on their sales chart. So I was expecting something a little more like the 22 Model X I had a chance to drive versus my 18. It didn't even feel premium compared to that. And then I had a chance to drive a pre-refresh Model Y for a couple of days, and it did feel better than that, but not much. It was like going from a back when they had the textile style seat on Model S up to the leather version. That's how it felt. It was marginally better. But you have a point there on the towing too. I think that they could conquest some Ford buyers with the Sierra, same way that the Ram Charger will have a chance to do. And I really hope they have something else that they have in mind to replace that range extender, because
Well,
that's
don't hold your breath on Stellantis. That's all I have to say there. I believe it when I
right.
see it.
Mhm.
They keep
They're in
pushing it.
in
Yeah,
North
the hard
America.
times.
They're in hard times. Yeah, they're having
Hard
some
times,
challenges. So
and they
I'd be very concerned about those guys.
keep
Yeah.
pushing it back, and they canceled the regular EV.
Mm.
But with Cybertruck though, what I'm wondering is uh, if they can get you what they promised as far as range with the range extender, by either offering an extra long range pack in the same vein that Rivian does, or just reformulating all of them so they get more range, and people don't feel that sting of, oh man, the Sierra can way outclass my towing, but I don't want a Rivian because it's a little smaller. And
Mm.
well, the Ford. Nothing wrong with the Ford if it works for you, but it's not. Depending on what you're looking for, it's not the same as the Cybertruck or the rest of the EV
Right.
options.
And
And so,
and the majority again of pickup truck buyers, repeat buyers, are not only brand specific, as you guys
yes,
mentioned at the top, which is a hard battle to win, but
yeah,
also they're just used to that feel and look and style, right?
yeah,
And so you get into an F-150, it still looks and feels the same as an F-150 gas car. You go into a Silverado, it's basically all that. So the comfort, it's a very easy transition to those vehicles. Raven is a little bit different, and Tesla, of course, is much more different. But what I'm excited for, and I think Patrick, you hit the nail on the head at the beginning. When Ford said about this smaller type of Maverick,
Mm.
pickup truck that would be all electric, like if the Santa Cruz was all electric today, I would have that instead of a Model Y, because I love that opportunity to have that need for the truck features without the full size need, and still
right.
having 5 people in the vehicle, right? So from a passenger comfort and everything else, I'd be on that like anything. And when Ford's came out a month ago and said we're going to build this mid-size, I'm going, well, you got my interest there. I mean, I'm in no rush, but if you get my interest, so maybe instead of an SUV, maybe they might look at scaling something down. Like, I don't know if that's what their plans are, Mark, or if they're looking at a full-size SUV like the R1S, which is a big machine, right?
Yeah.
One thing that you bring up there would be really cool if they pull a Simone Yetch and they instead of a Model 3, they take a Model Y L and make it into a
Mm.
Truckla. You
Yeah.
still have 5 seats, so you don't need 7
Trunkla,
or
I like
6.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And then you give it the Camaro, Camaro, not the Camaro, sorry, the
El
Like El
Camino.
El
Camino.
Camino
Yep.
back. Yeah,
Mhm.
and then you can put the tailgate down, give it some strength. So that way the tailgate can actually
Yeah,
carry some stuff, and that would do the trick.
because
But you
it's
mentioned
yeah.
commercial. If they had done that long range rear wheel drive as just
Yeah.
standard pack, like just put a smaller pack in it, rear wheel drive. We look at the electric vans. What do they do? 89, 79, 100 miles. These
Mhm.
people know what their case is, and it's the same here. The commercial drivers will know what their case is with these trucks, but our home users don't. Even if they really do the introspection and realize I only do this trip twice a month or twice a year, they're not going to be willing to, all right, come up with another solution for that 1 or 2 trips a year. But the commercial, they'll say, oh yeah, well we'll send the gas truck for those 2 customers once a quarter, and we can save a whole truck bed full of money on operating these things throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't think we're going to come up with a solution for Tesla overnight. I think a lot of the things that we have talked
Yes.
about here today are things that Tesla was probably is taking into consideration. But it's going to be interesting to see as to what their next move is with this. Is it the long term? Are they hoping that they can reduce battery costs, reduce production costs, and gradually slice off 5,000 here, 10,000 there, and over a number of years get it to that, or are they going to do something radical? that's what's fun watching Tesla from the outside, is because you really don't know what they're going to do. There's lots of indications as to what they could do, but their selection path is a little bit different than what we may think from the outside.
Yeah, Patrick put up there the Tello truck. That's certainly an angle they could go for. And I wanted to ask on the anode-free battery. How close is that to commercialization, or where they ship it out and then it doesn't actually have an anode till the first time they charge it?
I'm not sure. And it's easy to have a lab bench breakthrough versus a full production breakthrough. And sometimes the things that work in the lab are not as easy to scale to full production as we'd like. So I'm not sure.
But you know, just like you, I don't really like to look at those or talk about them. I look at them and say, wow. But I think it was a major that mentioned that they were almost ready on it. And so whenever a major says they're doing something, that Osborne effect and that not wanting to, trash their existing product while they're making money, I am a little more comfortable with them saying stuff like that. So yeah.
And Mark, you make a great comment there. If anybody can do it, as you described, it's a company like Tesla, because they've proven they can do these kinds of things, get economies of scale, change the life, like with gigacasting, put the industry upside down. So they have the capabilities and the smartness and the $500 billion man to do that. So, they're very enabled. So I'm hopeful that something will happen. And I would just, again, caution you guys on these startups, because people get excited. Slate's another one. There's all these other ones that are starting up. And I'm always cautious that unless they have a couple of billion with a B in the bank to get to mass market, that's what they're going to need, because I'm still negative on Aptera. That's not a discussion for this show, but there's reasoning there. I think Tello's model is a little different, is they're going to go after a low volume type of situation, maybe start regional. So that might work for them. But anybody who starts trying to say we're going to really kind of come in and dominate without a huge bucket of money to get there is a big question mark in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got another one real quick. The what was that product called a couple of years ago? It was basically a class 6, 7 truck. They just put a pickup bed on the back of it instead of a box body. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? It was lifted, yellow.
It was a boxy looking truck, right? It was very boxy. And they had the pass-through the front and the back. You could.
Not the Bollinger, but it was a gas truck, gas or diesel truck, and it was just instead of putting a box truck on the back, they put a pickup bed, and it was just ridiculously large. If they did that to the Tesla Semi and could keep the range at the 500,
well, I'm sure the price wouldn't remain the same either.
It would not. It would not. But if they keep it in that range,
I'm sure it would be.
You pass your parallel parking test in that.
You don't.
I ran over the cones. Yeah,
you don't. It doesn't fit.
Well, let's move it to the listeners. We'd like to hear what you think out there. What do you think Tesla's plan is going to be? Do you think they can do it? Can they get the Cybertruck up to volume in order to reduce costs? Can they eat costs, or can they eat profit for a while until they get volume up? Is the Cyber SUV going to be part of the formula? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And as we say that, let's ask Ken how others could find him on the internet for future shows that Ken puts on.
I appreciate the opportunity for my plug. So you can find me on YouTube at EV Revolution Show, where I continue to do mainly car reviews and a little bit of coverage here and there. I'm also on Twitter as well at EV Rev Show, and through email at evrevolutionshow@gmail.com. Those all work.
Very good, very good. Patrick, any shout outs at the end?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net, where I write about my future free from fossil fuels. Thanks.
Man, he sounds polished. But Casey, what do you got for us?
Well, catch us on Sunday at Let's Chat with Casey and Friends over at youtube.com/Casey Green or x.com/gcustom. And then we'll see you back here again Monday for the Tesla Life Express Edition 2, and on Wednesday for the live show.
Very good. Very good. Once again, we thank Ken for joining us today, and we thank you for watching. And if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up, press that subscribe, helps us all out, doesn't cost you anything. And we will catch you next time. And together we'll find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Indeed.